The haunting road. It was a chilly autumn night when I found myself behind the wheel, alone on a desolate road that cut through a dense dark forest. The moonlight filtered through the thick canopy of trees, casting airy shadows on the path ahead. The atmosphere was heavy with an unsettling silence, broken only by the occasional hoot of an owl. I had taken this route to save time, a decision I was now regretting. The isolation of the road was palpable, and the feeling of being watched crept under my skin. The headlights of my car seemed feeble, unable to penetrate the suffocating darkness that enveloped the surroundings. As I drove deeper into the forest, the sense of unease grew stronger. The trees seemed to lean in menacingly, forming an almost claustrophobic tunnel. My grip on the steering wheel tightened, and a shiver ran down my spine. It was as if the very woods were alive, whispering secrets I couldn't comprehend. Suddenly, my headlights flickered, causing my heart to skip a beat. I let out a nervous laugh, trying to convince myself it was just a minor glitch. But when the engine sputtered and died, panic gripped me. I was stranded in the heart of nowhere, surrounded by an impenetrable blackness. I fumbled for my phone, praying for a signal, but the screen remained stubbornly black. I glanced at the rearview mirror and froze. Two faint, glowing orbs stared back at me from the shadows. A pair of eyes. My breath caught in my throat, and a paralyzing fear consumed me. Summoning all the courage I could muster, I stepped out of my car, the forest seeming to close in around me. The air was thick with an otherworldly energy, and I stumbled through the darkness, my heart pounding like a drum. Every rustle of leaves, every distant hoot of an owl sent jolts of terror through my veins. The eyes in the mirror followed me, dancing at the edge of my vision. I quickened my pace, feeling an inexplicable urge to run, to escape whatever malevolent presence lurked in the shadows. The wind seemed to carry faint whispers, unintelligible yet chilling to the core. My foot caught on a root, and I fell to the ground with a thud. As I struggled to my feet, I felt a cold skeletal hand close around my ankle. I screamed and kicked, breaking free from its icy grasp. Adrenaline surged through me as I stumbled back to my feet, the eyes still watching. A distant light flickered through the trees, offering a glimmer of hope. I followed it instinctively, crashing through the underbrush like a wild animal. The light led me to an ancient, dilapidated cabin. The wood was weathered and the windows were shattered, adding to the eerie aura. Desperation overtook my fear, and I burst through the cabin door, hoping to find help or at least a working phone. The interior was a collage of cobwebs, decay, and an overwhelming sense of abandonment. But in the corner of the room, I spotted an old rotary phone, a beacon of hope. I rushed to it and dialed frantically, praying for a connection. A voice crackled on the other end, distorted and barely audible. I tried to explain my situation, my words a jumbled mess of panic, but the voice on the other end didn't seem to comprehend, responding with unintelligible muttering. Frustration and dread welled up inside me. That's when I noticed it, a faded photograph on the dusty mantle. The picture showed a family smiling and happy. My heart sank as I recognized the cabin in the background. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. This place had a sinister history. A floorboard creaked behind me and I spun around, my breath catching in my throat. Standing in the doorway was a figure, a woman in tattered clothing, her face obscured by shadows. My pulse raced as I stumbled back, my mind racing with a torrent of emotions. Was she the one who had been watching me? Her voice, a haunting whisper, filled the room. You should have stayed on the road, she said, her tone a mix of sorrow and malice. I was trapped, cornered by a presence I couldn't understand. I desperately wished for the nightmare to end, for the world to make sense again. As the woman drew closer, a gust of wind blew through the cabin, extinguishing the single candle that had provided a feeble light. Darkness swallowed us, and all I could hear were her slow, deliberate footsteps. I closed my eyes, tears mixing with the sweat on my face, and waited for whatever would come next. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the oppressive presence lifted. The air felt lighter, and when I opened my eyes, I was alone in the cabin. The woman was gone, leaving only the chilling memory of her voice. A glimmer of dawn seeped through the broken windows, casting a pale light on the decaying interior. With trembling hands, I retraced my steps through the forest, back to the road where my car had been abandoned. The first rays of morning sun began to break through the trees, dispelling the darkness. As I reached my car, the engine roared to life, as if by magic. I drove away from that place, my heart heavy with the weight of the night's horrors. The memories would haunt me, the feeling of being watched, the airy whispers, the cold touch. I couldn't explain what had transpired, and I wasn't sure if I ever would. Even now, safe in the embrace of daylight, I can't shake off the feeling that the forest still holds its secrets. The road that I had thought would lead me to safety became a passage into the world of nightmares. And though I escaped physically, I fear that a part of me will forever remain on that haunting road. Thank you for listening.